I'm tired of writing this fiction, but it needs to be said. James Grider was 15 when he interviewed a retired Secret Service agent, Melvin Cothran. James Grider was very pissed off that Secret Service exists, and he extolled how he believes they shouldn't exist. He found this retired Secret Service agent to interview as a school project or something. So, James said, when and why did you start giving a shit whether the president is killed by some admirable individual or not?
Well, young man, Melvin said, with a somewhat nervous chuckle, you certainly don't mince words. To answer your question, it was my job to protect the president's life.
No, James said exasperatedly. I mean, personally, why would you want such a job? Why would you give a shit if the president is assassinated, that you would dedicate your life to protecting him?
Let's see, Melvin responded. My father was in the Marines, in the Pacific Theater, during World War II, and all the kids in our family, especially myself, looked up to him. I always knew my future career would be in military or law enforcement. You just sort of feel it in your bones. It really devastated my father when he watched President Kennedy assassinated on television on November 22nd, 1963. That really stayed with me. I was frightened as a kid because you never expect for an assassin to blow off a president's head out of the blue in front of all the spectators. That was a powerful moment in my life. Now, did you say that a man who might kill the president is admirable? Why is that considered admirable by you?
Speaking of JFK's assassination, James said, ignoring the inquiry, why weren't you on Lee Harvey Oswald's side, the assassin's side? Shouldn't you have been cheering for him instead? Lee Harvey Oswald was a man frustrated with being a loser in a capitalist society, that he could never make enough money to feel successful. He was so miserable that he abused his Russian wife all the time. He just wanted communism like in the Soviet Union, so he feels more secure in life. He felt like the system was abusing him the way I feel the system abuses me. You should have been cheering for Lee Harvey Oswald and should have been able to relate to his state of mind like I can.
Why would I? He stammered, gaping at James and grappling with his astonishment at how easily the boy stated what he just did. I mean, I don't say that Lee Harvey Oswald doesn't deserve some pity, but it's no excuse for what he did.
Well, instead of the president, I sympathize with people who would kill the president, because they suffer more like how I suffer, James admitted frankly, to Melvin's greater chagrin. Why wouldn't you sympathize with the guy who would kill the president, instead of being a piece of crap who stands in his way? If the president wasn't such a prick, maybe no one would try to kill him, then guys like you wouldn't be needed. It's better for democracy this way. Vote not with your ballot, but with your bullet.
The old man was struck speechless. He was beginning to be afraid of James Grider. Look, he said, I think you're severely misguided in how you think a democracy should work.
No, I'm not, James said. If the president ever becomes too much of an oppressive piece of shit, people won't be able to kill him to be rid of him because of assholes like you protecting him. You know how much money impeachment costs? And how lazy and apathetic people might be to impeach the president? You Secret Service put a system in place that would hinder any kind of revolution in case our leaders ever decide to become dictators.
The old man was beginning to feel testy. How you're talking right now is exactly why the president needs the protection he receives today, the former Secret Service agent said pointedly.
So what are President Bush and Obama to you personally, that you would take a bullet for them? James asked. Do you love them? Would you suck their dicks? Why wouldn't you love someone like Lee Harvey Oswald instead?
If I take a bullet for the president, I'm doing it for more than just some man, Melvin said. I'm doing it for this country.
Well, this country does a lot of things that can leave people mad and unhappy, James said.
There is a system in place to change laws, a peaceful system that doesn't require violence, Melvin said stoically.
People are too stupid and apathetic to do it that way, James said. They don't listen to people like me because I have a unique mind they can never understand. If you can't get the mob on your side, you just gotta do it alone.
Well, that's just too bad, Melvin said in mockery of James's grievance.
James said, I think the only reason you Secret Service people protect the president is because of certain unspoken perks that come with the job. You get to travel all over the world for free, going where the president goes. And in your times off duty, you can fuck prostitutes in countries where prostitution is legal, while law enforcement pieces of shit like you continue keeping prostitution illegal here on the home turf. You're a hypocrite piece of shit.
You're very rude, Melvin said. I don't think I want to talk with you anymore.
Why do you not like the topic suddenly? James said. Why you seem so guarded?
You are rude, and I don't appreciate anyone who thinks it's okay to murder the president, Mr. Cothran said firmly.
Here's what needs to happen, James said. Every newly elected president, as a hazing ritual, should be flown down to Dallas, Texas. He should be chained up inside an open-top convertible, just in his suit and tie, no bulletproof vest, no special protection, nothing. Without any of the streets being closed off, all the streets remaining in full access to the public, the president, against his will, should be driven in that open-top convertible down the same route that Kennedy's motorcade took. No security, no counter-snipers on the roof, nothing. Then whatever will be, will be. I want to see O'Banana in that position, shitting his pants and squirming.
Melvin said roughly, I think we're done here. I had enough of hearing this bull out of you.
Bull? James laughed. Just say the whole word, you fucking pussy. You have an obsessive-compulsive disorder to protect politicians. Why? When everybody hates them? Is it the unspoken perks of the job, like hookers in other countries the president flies to on business sometimes?
So Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't obsessive-compulsive when he couldn't resist shooting Kennedy dead? Mr. Cothran fired back. His obsessive-compulsive disorder is okay with you?
Whenever a president visits a city and his motorcade has to drive through that city, the entire city blocks get put on lockdown so his motorcade can pass through, James said. That disrupts businesses and people's lives. People get trapped in buildings and can't go outside until he passes by. That would make it tempting for someone to want to kill the fucker, wouldn't it?
I, Melvin balked. You would take a man's life over something like that? An inconvenience like that?
I don't think he's that important, James said. You're a piece of shit who ruins lives of people who actually want to do something about the politicians they're fed up with. Why are you like that? It's like a mental illness with you. You could have just laughed at President Kennedy being killed, but instead you were sad. You know he was no fucking better than Bush.
With a slash of his hand, Melvin bellowed, I am ending this. We're done here. Get out.
So would you arrest me if you caught me trolling for a prostitute like a hypocrite piece of shit you are? James tossed out a final question.
Just leave. The old man bayed impatiently with the palm of his hand.
You're a puppet, James said. Why are people born to be puppets like yourself? Is it because you're mentally ill?
Leave! Melvin snarled.
As James moved to go, he blurted real quick, I'm gonna shoot the fucking president! And then he scampered out the door before the old ex-Secret Service guy could react. Now that the former Secret Service agent heard him blurt the threat, how would he have taken it? James didn't stick around to watch his reaction because he wanted to be out of there. Would the man be sad and upset that there was no proof? James just said what he said because there was no recording equipment to document it, and it would be just his word against James's? Would he wring his hands and adjust his tie neurotically in grief that he can't ruin James's life for making a threat on the great president? Why? What creates these types of men? Why do these types of people exist who think that way? Well, I have to say that James is right. I like his hazing ritual idea for every newly elected president. Originally in the 1860s, the Secret Service wasn't about protecting the president. It was created to stop counterfeiters. Half the currency in the country was counterfeit cash, which, again, wasn't a bad thing, because I wouldn't have to sit here and grind for money. James Grider said, allow counterfeit money, and you will have less guys like Lee Harvey Oswald on your genitals. Fuck the president of you shitted states of America, said James Grider.